Beginningless time. Mind-bending truth from science and philosophy. Time. It's the thing you never have enough of, the excuse you use when you're late, and the subject of countless sci-fi movies that leave you wondering if you've just watched a cinematic masterpiece or an elaborate fever dream. But have you ever stopped to ask yourself, where did time begin? Or more mind-bendingly, did it begin? Welcome to the mind-warping world of beginningless time. This concept has captured the attention of philosophers and scientists for centuries, and it's every bit as perplexing as it sounds. Imagine a timeline that stretches infinitely backward, with no starting point, no Big Bang as a kick-off event, no divine finger snapping things into existence, just an eternal was. Yeah, your brain hurts already, doesn't it? Don't worry, dear viewer, as we'll untangle this cosmic knot together. Philosophers, masters of the eternal headache. In Eastern philosophy, particularly in Buddhism and Hinduism, the concept of beginningless time is like smooth jazz on a Sunday morning. Buddhists, for example, see time as an infinite loop. We're talking about samsara, which is the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. No cosmic reset button here. It's an ongoing dance where the universe never hits pause or rewind. This idea supports the notion that there's no single creation event. Instead, existence is in perpetual motion, as always has been. Hindu cosmology takes this up a notch with its yugas, which are ages that repeat over vast cosmic periods. Imagine the universe as a grand, never-ending game of cosmic monopoly. Each epoch is another turn around the board, only with fewer arguments over who gets to own Boardwalk and Park Place. Now, dear viewer, let's take a look at ancient Greek philosophy, where abstract ideas like beginningless time thrive. For millennia, philosophers have debated whether time has a beginning or if it stretches back forever. Ancient thinkers like Aristotle got the ball rolling, or maybe it's been rolling forever. Aristotle argued that time is eternal. It's always been there and always will be. To him, the idea of a first moment made no sense because, well, what came before that? Cue an infinite loop of head-scratching. Imagine a game of dominoes where the pieces stretch back infinitely. There's no first domino, just an eternal chain of cause and effect. Heraclitus proposed that the universe is in constant flux, an endless process without a starting point. This contrasts with the more familiar linear concept of time, which has a clear beginning, middle, and presumably an end. Heraclitus would probably love today's modern reinterpretations, where we see time as more of a treadmill set to infinite, rather than a race with a finish line. And hey, this philosophical treadmill doesn't even make you break a sweat, but it can make your brain hurt. Later came St. Augustine, the 4th century theologian, who threw a theological twist into the mix. He suggested that time itself was created by God and didn't exist before the universe. What was God doing before creation? Augustine asked. His answer, don't ask. More recently, philosophers like Immanuel Kant took the debate up a notch. Kant argued that time is not a thing out there, but a framework our minds use to make sense of the world. In other words, time might not even be real, just a handy mental construct. Think of it like wearing a pair of tinted glasses that make everything seem blue. Time, in this analogy, is the blue tint our minds impose on reality. So, if you're late to work, blame our brains for inventing time in the first place. Martin Heidegger, on the other hand, took a more existential approach, arguing that human existence is characterized by its temporal nature. We're beings that exist in time, with a past, present, and future. But wait, there's more. Modern philosophers have leaned into the concept of beginningless time to address paradoxes like the infinite regress problem. If everything has a cause, what caused the first cause? A timeline without a beginning neatly sidesteps this conundrum by saying, hey, there is no first cause. It's all just been happening forever. Imagine trying to climb a ladder with no bottom or top rung. Sure, it's confusing, but it also means the ladder's been standing forever. Science, the Big Bang or the Big Shrug. If philosophers love to theorize, scientists love to measure. And when it comes to time, science has plenty to say. Let's start with Einstein's theory of relativity, which blew everyone's minds by showing that time isn't absolute. Instead, it's relative, meaning it can speed up, slow down, or even warp, depending on how fast you're moving or how strong gravity is. This is why astronauts age slightly slower than the rest of us. But even Einstein's theory doesn't answer the question of whether time had a beginning. For much of the 20th century, the reigning cosmological model was the Big Bang theory, which says the universe began about 13.8 billion years ago. According to this model, time itself started with the Big Bang. No before, just an explosive beginning. But not so fast. Recent scientific theories such as Paul Steinhardt's Cyclic Model suggest that the Big Bang might not have been the absolute start of everything. He proposed that the Big Bang was just a phase in an eternal cycle of cosmic events. Think of the universe as a cosmic accordion, endlessly expanding and contracting. Each cycle ends with a big crunch followed by another Big Bang, implying that time has no true beginning, just a series of cosmic encores. The eternal inflation theory proposes that our universe is part of a vast multiverse, where our cosmic bubble is just one of many, infinitely expanding and contracting. This theory, an extension of the Big Bang model, suggests that our universe's expansion is not slowing down, but rather accelerating, driven by dark energy. As our universe expands, it gives rise to new universes through an eternally inflating process, creating an infinite number of cosmic bubbles, each with its own unique laws of physics. This mind-bending theory redefines our understanding of space, time, and the very fabric of reality. Another contender is the steady-state theory, which was all the rage in the mid-20th century. It posits that the universe has always existed in a constant state, with new matter continuously created to maintain a consistent density as it expands. While this theory has fallen out of favor, it still presents a universe that is timeless and ageless, like that one celebrity who never seems to get older. Another idea comes from quantum mechanics and string theory. Some physicists suggest that time itself might break down at extremely small scales, rendering the concept of beginning meaningless. It's like trying to divide a cookie into infinitely smaller crumbs. At some point, you're just left with cookie dust and no clear starting piece. And then there's the concept of a static or block universe. In this view, all moments, including past, present, and future, exist simultaneously. Time isn't something that flows, it's just a landscape we happen to navigate. Beginningless time? Check. Endless headache? Double check. Picture this like a giant photo album where every picture already exists. You're just flipping through it, but the album itself never begins or ends. The infinite regression problem: who started the clock? One of the biggest challenges to the concept of beginningless time is the infinite regression problem. If time has no beginning, then every moment is preceded by an infinite number of moments. But how can something infinite ever reach the present? It's like trying to count down from infinity to zero. You'd never get there. Philosophers and theologians have used this argument to support the idea of a first cause, which is a divine being or cosmic event that set everything in motion. But scientists aren't so quick to jump on the divine bandwagon. Instead, they suggest that the laws of physics might allow for an infinite universe, where time loops back on itself or exists in multiple dimensions. It's a mind-boggling idea, but hey, so is the fact that we're all made of stardust, sans Ziggy Stardust. Why beginningless time messes with our heads. So, why is the idea of beginningless time so hard to wrap our brains around? For starters, we humans love stories with clear beginnings, middles, and ends. It's how we make sense of the world. A timeline that stretches infinitely backward doesn't fit that mold. It's like reading a book with no first page. How do you even start? Or imagine being told to count backward from infinity. Where would you begin? There's also the issue of infinity, which is notoriously tricky. The human brain is great at dealing with finite things like a sandwich, a day, a credit card bill, or nose hair. But infinity, that's like trying to hold an ocean in your hands. Beginningless time forces us to confront the idea of infinite regress, an endless chain of events stretching back forever. It's like asking, what came first, the chicken or the egg? And being told, actually, there's an infinite number of chickens and eggs, and they've always been there. Pop culture and beginningless time, the fun side of confusion. If all this sounds too abstract, don't worry, because pop culture has been having a field day with the idea of beginningless time. Movies like Interstellar and Doctor Strange explore mind-bending concepts of time loops and infinite timelines. In Groundhog Day, Bill Murray's character lives the same day over and over, hinting at what it might feel like to experience a slice of beginningless time. Spoiler, it's not fun. It's like being stuck in an eternal traffic jam with the same car horns, same scenery, same existential dread. And let's not forget TV shows like Doctor Who, where time travel and endless timelines are par for the course. The Doctor's adventures remind us that time doesn't have to be a straight line. It can twist, loop, and turn into all sorts of shapes. Beginningless time might not be so bad if you've got a time machine to explore it with. Or consider Rick and Morty's chaotic take on timelines, where causality itself gets thrown out the window. So, what's the verdict? So, dear viewer, whether you're drawn to the cyclical dances of Eastern philosophy, the treadmill musings of Western thinkers, or the speculative models of modern science, beginningless time challenges us to expand our minds and embrace the endless possibilities of existence. Is time beginningless? Philosophers and scientists might never agree, and that's okay. The beauty of this question lies in its mystery. It challenges us to think beyond our everyday experience, to grapple with ideas that stretch our understanding to the limit. And who knows, maybe the journey of exploring beginningless time is more important than the destination. In the meantime, next time you're stuck in traffic or waiting for your coffee, take a moment to ponder the infinite. Sure, it might not help you get to work any faster, but it'll make the wait a lot more interesting. After all, what's a few minutes compared to the vast, endless expanse of beginningless time?